Namo Shakyamunaya Buddhaya. Dear brothers and sisters, dear community of lay friends, today is the 7th of August in the year 2025. Every year we have a retreat for Vietnamese speaking friends from many different places that come here. In reality, the most fortunate thing that we have for us is that we have the inheritance of the right Dharma that has been transmitted to us by our teacher, Thai, so that for us to be able to come here to practice. And every year I remember the other brothers and sisters, they choose a topic or a theme for the retreat to send to you, to offer to you as a gift. And the most beautiful things that the brothers and sisters here that have received directly from Thai, inherited from Thai, of course, in each and every one of us, as students of the Buddha, children of the Buddha, other than that, we received this Dharma inheritance from the Buddha from many years ago. We also received the inheritance from our teacher directly, and that is Sư Ông, the one that our teacher Thai, who has given this to us. And the foundation in which all of us can receive it is, and the foundation comes from you. Whether or not you can receive this inheritance, we are the continuation, a very beautiful continuation from the Vietnamese culture from our father and our mother. This thing that allows us to look deeply and to see the inheritance and how we have received it. In the Vietnamese culture, that we cannot see anything. And the suffering that we have received, and the things that we shared, sometimes it is, and then we have to go through many times to hear it, and it gives us a lot of sometimes we live in the United States for many years. Our state of mind cannot be open, and then we still have a lot of things that we carry within our own hearts. And then we have so many things that are busy with us, and this helps us. If we're not skillful in us, then we lose the inheritance in which our family has given us, and then we feel of anger and hatred. And so therefore, to receive an inheritance, you have to open your heart to see what you have received. And then if you are not a practitioner, then you don't, it's okay, but then your role as being born in the inheritance of the Dharma of the Buddha, the Sangha, and we receive what is most beautiful, what is most wholesome, what is most precious, so that we can make our life even more full of essence and quality, and how to receive an inheritance according to the Buddhist teaching. And so you should be proud that you can live in this many conveniences, but then the inheritance that your parents had given you from family inheritance, from this and with this state of mind, this way of being, and this way of thinking, and etc. But in reality, it doesn't mean that you carry directly all of that stuff into in the future. We practice right here. We are reborn again in the right Dharma, in the Dharma of the Buddha. So that the most precious thing that we have is the most fortunate is that we're able to receive, and we receive the inheritance of the Buddha. And then when the inheritance of the Buddha, then you're able to use it into your everyday life. And then you change the structure that you have received from your own blood family, and then your misfortunes or your unhappiness of your life, and then that things that you don't transmit those unwholesome things to the future generations, and then you come back to yourself, and you can be able to receive, change everything, and to go into the world. And if you're able to do this, it means that if you go into your daily practice and you learn the Dharma and you go into the practice diligently, then you have the right to change your destiny, to change your culture, to change your life from in the here and in the future. The essence of your life will be more higher, and then your happiness will be much more brighter, and you also change your consciousness. It could be have some suffering from the past, but right now it's okay. Your life, the more and more you practice, you become more holy. You live in this holy life, right, in now and in tomorrow, and then you can be master of yourself. So up until you release this physical body, that you have inherited and received the inheritance of the right dharma, of wholesomeness, of goodness, the inheritance of wisdom and insight, and then and also and the inheritance of the insight and wisdom that you have learned from the Tathagata, and then so you have a deep footing of virtue so that you can leave behind for future generations, and then you don't continue on the misfortunes and unhappiness. There are some of us in live in this society that we therefore of unhappiness and despair. So you need to use your own life. You have the right now to receive this inheritance of the Buddha, and apply it into your daily life so that you can transform your suffering, transform all the ways that you were in the past, so that you can look forward to a future. This is a very basic situation that we can look at that can help you to have a way of being, that to be more perseverance in your practice, and that because you have already received the most beautiful things in the most precious things from this retreat where the brothers and sisters have organized and offered to you. The first thing that I want to go into as for a retreat is that you have to also contemplate is that from Thai's teachings and then into the way of practice, and then to building a sangha, and until Thai passed, transformed to a cloud and entered into nirvana. I remember there was no retreat that they do not chant Avalokiteshvara, and after that, at the end, they end the retreat. The brothers and sisters also have a chant to transcend the good energy to the whole sangha. But in reality, in there, it's like really sit peacefully, and then your mind, you're like you used to have so many things outside it. The chant in itself is just there, but the most wonderful thing here is that your heart has becomes very still. You're at peace, and then your heart is at peace, and then you're able to receive this wholesome energy of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas that will protect you. You should remember that the energy of the Buddhas in the 10 directions is formless, and it had been transmitted from many lifetimes, and it is the things that we can hear. We can only be recognized by the things that it touch inside our own heart, but sometimes we don't see it with our physical eyes, but it's still present there inside of you. And one of the things that I would like to do in many years is that in the retreats that had happened at this retreat, during a time of a Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, that the brothers and sisters to practice, give you to practice every retreat. There's nothing that misfortunate happens at this retreat. And I want to tell you this is because let us see is that first of all is that from our own mind, there is a wholesome energy, friend, that would turn towards the holy path. That is given out, there's like vibe, aura, a wholesome aura, and then it comes from your own heart, and without any images, that you're able to receive this wholesome aura, this halo and it touches to the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas and to all the protectors. You can just imagine that that not everybody knows, nobody knows about the chant of Namo Kwan Avalokiteshvara, and this is everybody knows it because it's been in Vietnam for about 20 centuries. And it almost seems like in every monastery, every temple, they all pray to Avalokiteshvara. But if you are a real practitioner, and then you're not, there's no practitioner who does not chant Avalokiteshvara's name. But in so many wind and storms and everything, natural disasters, we all chant, we all turn towards into the protection of the three jewels. And this is not something that we blindly believe in and aimlessly believe in it. This is something that for all of us here, as anyone as practitioners, and all the lay friends that there's a faith, some kind of faith of the protection of the three jewels. And so then you can just look deeply and to see that in our everyday life, the wholesome energy of the three jewels is present for you um, in this atmosphere, in this environment. But whether or not you can open your heart to receive it. For example, in this retreat, as such, the brothers and sisters chant Avalokiteshvara, but in your mind you're full of anger and hatred or worry or anxiety, or you think you follow step, you think this is like a market, just to gather and have fun and to, but then not necessarily practice, or you feel suffocated, so that the energy can penetrate into you, into your mind, into your heart, and then you start to receive this energy of the bodhisattvas to protect you. And so for the energy in which we have is like the sources of energy that is very spiritual. From the outside, there's the protection of the three jewels. It's there. It's always there. And this, it also means that like you can receive the inheritance of the Buddha or not. It doesn't mean that everyone can receive it equally like each other. In our own consciousness and our own mind, there are limitations and there are openness. And so it depends very much on your practice. The foundation gives out like whether or not you have the ability to receive the Dharma. It doesn't mean like that it's given to you, that you need to have the same kind of mentality. So it requires you to be present. Your mind needs to be really invested into the practice so that you can actually receive the teaching, and then you don't feel emptiness and loneliness. And then we're able to receive the energy of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in you and around you. And the second thing is that, like our life, there's a verse that says, if you have this, there's a verse that says that if your mind, whatever it thinks, whatever get your content of what your consciousness is, and people, and then you sort of pick up on people on the same frequency. So then it's like if you're always thinking about gambling, you will attract those who gamble. Those who like to argue, and then you will attract people that like to argue. So then is that a frequency vibes with the same frequency from even on your own mind. If you so then to receiving the inheritance, it doesn't mean that you you are all the same and you receive the same inheritance and you practice the same. You have the right to be equal to all of the things that receive. We're no different. And if you look into a family that it has the teachings and this, for example, in your family, there are some families there are 10 children, but it's not all 10 children that they study the same or they have the same ability. Not all the children are the same. And so we look at this foundation in this sense is that they go into society. So if they in their mind they have a lot of unskillfulness and their mind is not kind, then of course in this time that they can come to the retreat and they cannot receive the kind of retreat of or to receive the inheritance of ethics, of virtues that, and then they come to the Buddhist teaching. They cannot receive the teachings of the Buddha either. And so then when we receive the teachings of the Buddha on the outside, it's just that. So then therefore, that you are born in one family of wealth, and then your inheritance for material stuff that you have a lot of that. But the quality of your life, it cannot be given to you because you cannot receive, because there's a difference of state of mind and consciousness, the level of understanding, and then your way of thinking, your perceptions are a lot different, and that is the greatest happiness. And so therefore that you should be aware that your inheritance is very full. It's equally is there for everyone, but then it depends very much on your own practice, on whether or not you can receive it. So then you can receive it or not depend on your consciousness, and depending on your own state of mind, how much you can receive depends on your own mind. And the third situation here that I would like to share with you is that when you come here and you just imagine that you do not receive the inheritance of the past, but it is what is in the past that creates the essence of your life in the present. So if you are unskillful, you are not skillful in the practice in the past, and you fall into a place in which there's a lot of difficulties so that you can find something just to live off of every day. But if you go to a place in which you can receive that you can't nourish so many people, and this is the thing that I'm just using this as an example. You can look at your own life and to see in your own family to say you have family there, mother and father there. Like you also receive the inheritance from your mother and father, your face, your physical body, your height, your intelligence, your all of the things that you have inheritance from the past. Other than that, there's another thing that is important is that you have is that your consciousness in the past. You have not practiced. Your mind is full of unhappiness and is busybodied. Your mind is full of unwholesome things. So then you're born in this life, then you can come to Buddhism, and you can practice for many years, but you can change the structure of your consciousness. It doesn't happen within 10 days because your habit energies are so deep. And then you can hear a lot of the things. So sometimes that you use a lot of time, so much time, so that you can make your mind more wholesome. And then it can open up and to be generous and to love others. And you can go into the Dharma of the practice. But there are things that the foundation of their mind in the past is wholesome, more wholesome than you, more open than you. And so therefore when they come to the Dharma and then when they practice, sometimes they don't even need to have a lot of form. It just needs 6 months and they become these angels, and we don't know when and don't know how. But this is the thing is that the most equal level, non the economic equality of the inheritance that we all have access to. But in the past, you have been able to receive this inheritance, and then you receive what you have that you have created for yourself. And then it's not a God given to you at all. But then with Buddhism, there is one thing that is quite a specialty, that in the past that you are reborn here, that you don't have a choice to choose. But in the future, you can determine your life and what it wants to be, in what direction you want to go. Then you can make that dimension in direction in your own destiny in the here and now. So then, in the past, being born you cannot determine, but death you can determine it. For example, you come to the practice, for example, and then you receive the teachings of the Buddha, and you think that if your mind is full of darkness and bitterness, and carries a lot of unwholesome things. So in this life, you nurture yourself by so many negative things in this life. In this life, then you hold in your life. In your life, you can recognize this misfortune and unhappiness inside of you. It is not something that Buddhism had created for you at all, or you can just imagine this physical body. It it's, it's like it's like a glass bottle, but then if you put it full of honey, then they call it honey, a pot of honey. But uh, if you put poison into that glass jar, then it becomes a poison. But then you can be healthy. But then, but poison, you touch it, that even just a little bit, you will suffer. And if you drink that every day, then it will bring you to death anyway. So then, from this notion, is that you can think that when in this present moment, so it could be that the jar, every jar is different. But your life, the shape of the jar is different. It's not the same. However, in this present moment, it's like you can pour in little by little either honey or poison, unwholesome things, unwholesome thoughts, yeah, hatred, anger, vengeance, revenge. So then slowly that you destroy yourself in this life. And you will feel the more you live like this with this kind of poison inside of you, then you destroy your life now. And so then you cannot determine it, but you can, when you live, you pass away, you lose one whole lifespan. And of course, with that kind of karma, when you born into the past, into the place with the darkness and despair and misfortune and suffering. And so this is something, this is very normal that happens. For example, that in the past, you're not able to nourish yourself by the energy of those who have the art, who knows the art of living. You nourish yourself by your own habits of stealing, of theft, petty theft, of lies, of deception. And then one day that how can you be in the Uganda? What if you end up in the U.S. and you have these habits? What do? Whatever career you had, you continue to. In the past, you have these habits. You're smart. You nurture yourself by talents, or doctors, or pharmacists, or engineer, or become a person that has a foundation of the practice. You have the energy of practice. Then you're able to penetrate the Dharma and learn the Dharma, and then because of for one reason, and then you're able to. Something had happened. You live with your own talents, you live with your own consciousness, and then one day in the beginning that you're not able to find a wholesome person, but be at ease with the way that you are, with the kind of energy in you which you generate. Even if you, wherever you fall into any state, you're able to find the same people that share the same, resonate the same aura with you. And so therefore, that if you go into a house with a full of trash and things, like within half a month, they're able to clean the house. They can have a clean house. They can have a way of practice. They can have wholesome people that nourish them, and they have a beautiful life. So therefore, so in the past, you cannot be master of what happened in the past, or you cannot change the past, and that wherever you land at, that is just something of the past. But right now, if you have understanding, is that you have the understanding, you have the right to determine what you want to do. Even animals do, so that they do not destroy themselves and they don't continue to destroy their future. And so therefore, the things that we need to mention here is that they're not destroying the people that they love around them. Oh, father, mother, husband, wife, children, parents, spouse, and then they're able to taste the Dharma, because but then they can say that they in their own jar they won't put in poison. So in the past they can't do anything about it, but right now in this moment you can have a choice of what you want to fill it with. And so then this tells you is that when you look deeply, look clearly, it almost feels as if this is equally distributed for all of us, for you to you determine what the destiny of your own life. And so I cannot do when you are born. You cannot decide when you are born, but right now in this life, you can discern from now and into the future. You can see where you will go in the future in this body and in death. So the path that you walk, what if you receive the inheritance, your inheritance? And the fourth thing I would like to share is, dear community, there is no one that is more fortunate as the Vietnamese people, because there's a foundation of the Buddha's teachings for many generations, and this foundation has gone into the Vietnamese culture from the way that we interact, the way that we speak, the way we have already received this inheritance for so long ago already in our everyday life. And the second part is that it is also the same kind of inheritance, but other countries, civilized countries, they're not able to receive it, and they continue to have suffering upon themselves. Anyone who has gone through the time, they were able to taste this. They have so many difficulties. They have been victims of war, and they have been born after 75, and they have tasted the hunger and the famine. And so then the essence of this suffering, there's a foundation that's so deep that it makes you to have this recognition, a clear recognition, and that based on that, the things that can happen is that each and every one of us, we live to live in this lifespan, to survive and to be present, just to be there, and to have a day life, to have a little bit comfort of conveniences, but you pay a very heavy price for it. And your suffering comes to you equally. It comes to everyone equally. And that a lot of us have gone through a lot of the price of it is quite high. So if you have this kind of foundation, if you look at in your everyday life, when there's a life of like strife and there, no matter how much suffering, that at the end of life that you still have to return everything to this life and go back into the, you can live however way you live, in whatever country, but you try to do something to be governor of a state, or you're born here and you mature and you study and you are successful and you go into the White House or to play a high political role. But then what at every life you have a certain amount of time and then you become nothing. Whether how rich you are, you will become nothing. Poor, you could become nothing. But there's the one thing that is most fortunate about it, you that you're not that bad, because you have been able to have an experience of suffering of the past. So therefore, we understand that even if you are a king, or if you are governor, yeah, like you are, they come to that point and you have the same place. So then we have to return this body into nothingness. So where do you go from that foundation of understanding? And then it comes to the teachings of the Dharma, to learn the depths of the Dharma, Buddha's teaching. But then when it's like if you understand that, you can understand it, but then you know what day, that whatever day that you have left to live, you can treasure that day. When you're sick, when you're ill, and then when the moments when you are lost. But if you understand this teaching, then you don't do harm, and then you understand it's like in society they can they can change the organs and to help out, and then the Buddhism in many different countries, the selling of organs. And so then there are some people who, as simple as they don't need to do much, they just need to practice, and they can understand that in every life when they come to a point where that where it's going to die, and then you just need to have a little bit left. And so, and there is no country that they have an economy that they sell American that like the dictatorship, that we have to understand in Buddhism this body is impermanence, and we don't need to do much. You have enough merit to be able to receive this body, and but then there's also to be aware that there is impermanence. This is the first practice, is that you don't release every opportunity that you can do wholesome things, and then you you have a time that it doesn't, a lifespan that doesn't give you time to be at leisure. So it have you live 30 years, 40 years, the lifespan that you think you have when the sun sets, and then every year, and then it just goes closer and closer. And then your sun, the actual physical sun in the phenomenon, they have this time like 12 hours to come up and then down. But then your lifespan is very unpredictable. Why? Because living is uncertain, but death is very certain. Is this right or wrong? We're like, of course. There's no way of arguing. Death comes so that you are suffering in yourself and you try to nurture the good habits. You can prepare for everything, but are you sure that you can live 100 years to enjoy the things that you prepared for? No. You can buy insurance and then you run around and you take care, and next thing you know, you pass away. Then what happened? What about everything else that happens after that? You're sitting here, and then and then all of a sudden you have a stroke, and then what happens now? Like you only have 1 month or 2 months left to live. So then death is something very certain, and then living is very uncertain, and it's very fragile. And so that when you understand this, and then you just imagine that you don't want to unskillfully invest your time in these meaningless things in your everyday life. So you don't pour in your energy into the things that in your everyday life, these poisons into your jar. And the third thing is that from this foundation to being aware of impermanence, you can also understand that when you are crazy enough, when you have anger, and then you hate people, when you're unease or you're unhappy, when you're bitter with people, then right now, at this moment, you destroy yourself and you continue to pour poison into your jar. And it comes to a certain point, there's two things that happen that waste your time of the day that you're living in this life. And the second thing that you lose is that your mind, that you destroy yourself with these poisons. So when you understand this already, the person who learns the Dharma with the unskillfulness that they have, they full of the Dharma inside of you. There's not one day that goes by meaninglessly to destroy yourself, to waste yourself away. And so then you know this, and you don't need anyone to pressure you to practice, but you yourself, stand up and they go into take a hold of your life because you want to determine for yourself right now and live beautifully, live wholesomely, live wonderfully, to bring out the best quality of humanity and not to destroy yourself into this life in the future. Or if not, then your future is not something when you die, but your future will come to a certain point when your mind will be full of misfortunes and unhappiness, of darkness, and you fill yourself up with despair. And then at that time your life will be full of difficulties, and the person who doesn't practice, they have more difficulties. Why? It's because you should just imagine in your everyday life right here right now the things that you can destroy, but then they have a lot of difficulties. And the things that you can say that you do not understand, then you will feel that in your heart is full of anger, the flames of anger. So then, dear community, that everyone can fall into this situation. The older you become, your body starts to disintegrate and come down, and then you walk slower, and then you have to respond slower, and then you have sickness and disease. So then all the misfortunes in your everyday life, this misfortune that you have in your own life, and sometimes, and when you go old, it carries it more and even hurts more and is painful. And you can just think that it is. Not, I'm not threatening you in any way, but this is true. That in your mind, this is what is happening. So then, I would like to encourage you is that when you're able to understand, then you can just really that the most important thing that it takes you into right here and now, the, and then every step that you take so that you can make it a foundation to save your life right here and right now. So then when you come with the love that you have, it doesn't mean that you wait until death comes, but you need to really take hold into the because to practice, but you practice now. So then you can see that the more you practice, you become more kind. I don't need you to become the Buddha. I don't need you to do anything. I just need you to just uh, so then you have to live somehow to live wholesomely. I don't need you to do anything. If you to practice for your own mind, and then we find this place as this misfortune that you have, the suffering that you have in your everyday life, and then it also feels that you even at this moment, you don't need to go anywhere, and then you have 10 children, but every time. Um, then this is the thing that the Buddha has taught for us, so that we can use this as our foundation of our practice. I challenge you that you have to take care of yourself. No one else can do this for you. We have witnessed this. So then maybe you don't have this experience of this physical body, but normally within your mouth, the way that you speak is unkind. You cannot transform yourself. So then when you become older, in the US, so you can come, nobody. And it also seems that it's like there's in the end, is that you go into in every month for 10 years. But then your body feels tired. And then you cannot receive anything. And sometimes your own ego makes it very difficult, and then you want to punish other people. And then we're going into the nursing home, and then you create difficulties for yourself. Then you can say, "Who do you think I am?" They're like, we forget. And you just open the door, they come, and you're shocked because it smells very bad. I say this is not to tell you that I just wanted to share a story. Don't think that you can receive the inheritance of what the Buddha has left for you, and you can live in it, and then you can practice in such a way for 3 days, and at the end, you end your life with things. And the most important thing is that you need to invest yourself in every day in your everyday practice, so that the practice in your mind and body. And that the most important thing is that you can do in such a way that this gift that you can receive it right here and right now, so it can change your future and enhance your life. Sometimes it comes to you, and it comes to your own body, and your husband, your wife, your partner, your mother, your father, your children, right here and right now, and it continues to create happiness and it multiplies. It's 12 o'clock. And we have 15 more minutes, and then we'll take a break. And so then the third thing, we go to the main thing is about the practice. The practice is not something. It's not a gathering just to bring a cow to a slaughterhouse. But then but you come here that you have the right to choose a practice from the meditative practice. And if you live here in the Dharma, and you understand that there's one way of practice, there's a way of being that you can practice in your everyday life. However, and the one thing in the Vietnamese people, sometimes that you're able to inherit your practice from the past, it can fall into, and you chant Namo Amitabha Buddha. And sometimes when you chant the Namo Amitabha, and then you learn, you touch the earth. But if you understand that, the breath in and out breath, it So all of these Dharma doors that are there are conditions for you to bring your mind into the space is that you can recognize that in the everything that happens in your body, in your breath, and then your movements of your finger and your hands are blinking or winking and all like that. You are familiar. You make familiarize yourself with these kind of things, so that this is happiness, this is happiness, this is sadness. That, but you are not that sadness, that emotion that happens. You are just the energy in observing these states of mind. And then here, then you have the fortune to practice in this life, in the here and now. And so there are things that happen, these sadness and misfortunes and unhappiness in your everyday life that may pour onto you, onto your life. But then when it comes approaches you, you are simply just not moved or disturbed by these emotions. You don't think that when you practice, you don't have sadness, that you don't have sadness and despair. But in reality, the difference in that is the person who practices and who doesn't practice, and is that when they have sadness and they go into their life, a practitioner is intelligent enough to do something, to go out and look and observe the sadness that comes and goes, and not identify the sadness as their own. And the despair and the happiness, it comes and it goes, but you are not that despair. You are not that. You are just observing that worry, despair, that anxiety that is passing by. And when you're able to do this, is that you don't need to do anything to you will be free. The Zen master is not a Zen master. It is not the things that you do in your everyday life that you're not a practitioner. But a Zen master is a Zen master or not is that you know how to use the Dharma in order to practice. So you become a person that you stand above, beyond this suffering and this despair and that happiness, and not untouched by these feelings and these emotions, because we're not. You use the practice in order to observe that, and you do not identify yourself at these emotions. Are you done? No, we're not done yet. And nobody is going to pinch your nose, and no one's going to say good things or praise you and give you, and no one's bribing you to practice. There's no reason, and any reason at all, that you'll be bound by or imprisoned by because somebody praises you, and then your nose gets inflated, and then when somebody doesn't praise you, then you deflate. No, your happiness in your everyday life, it has nothing because of whether there's good or bad. It has no effect to what is happening. That kind of pressure, you suffer because you don't have to look at a person and you judge another person by the way that they look. Sometimes we have this collective, we're all judgy about one another, and you think that you look into the love of another person, whether or not you are loved, and you wonder. You say that you look and you determine for yourself whether or not you are loved or we are hated. And this is a thing. It seems as if it's a pressure in our everyday life since we were young, trying to look for approval. Everybody learns that somehow we always want to do something to see whether our parents are approving of us. And up until we die, we always are looking for that kind of approval. So it comes to a point of maturity in your life when you learn the Dharma, and then you can use one meditative observation is that from this foundation, you can see that each and every other conditional practice, and going in and out, your steps are all on the observation of your fine manners, standing, walking, lying down, laughing, all of these things that you're doing. The most important thing is that you create this energy of your life that will be full of sweetness and kindness and strong, this energy of mindfulness, so that you can pierce through this ignorance. As you say, ignorance is quite a pierce through the emotions that you feel, your sadness, your despair that is always lingering around. So that to do what? To do so that you're able to see it, that it comes and it goes. And the most one thing that you can simply understand is that the Buddha said when you see these kind of things in the past, all of the things in the past, they're not you. It's as simple as the things that you're observing. So anyone can see anything, you see very clearly that is happening, then it comes and it goes. But you identify yourself as that, then what happens then? You are you are you don't have wisdom, or another, you're crazy. that you say, I'm a sutra, I'm a chicken, or I'm a dog, and you say, but I'm not a human being. But a normal person, they recognize, they see that you are you and I am I. That I'm not Thai Phước, then we're not sitting. Well, I'm not. I don't have like. There's no like. I cannot say Thai Phước. Then it's just this cup of Thai Phước. Then it's just drinking the tea, but the tea is not me. And so then you can just look back at yourself, and it's like all of the dharmas in which we learn, if they're like walking meditation, breathing, or sitting, etc. All of this is due for your energy of mindfulness to go thicker, so that you can be more sharp in the energy of mindfulness, to focus more focused, so that you're always present, so that you can do something more in depth, so that to observe yourself in your everyday life, so that you are not this despair, you are not this thinking, you are not this sadness, you are not this joy. And at that time you might have a hope that you can water the seeds of happiness and joy inside you, because all of a sudden at this time afflictions doesn't arise, uh, unwholesomeness doesn't arrive and is not there, and then all these little things start to fall off, and then your mind becomes more open, full of love and understanding, and your mind at the same time it be full of the energy of compassion and loving kindness. And if you're not able to attain to this level of practice, it also means that even if you try to love somebody, and the one thing that no matter that every effort that you put into love them, you will be exhausted, and then you will have, and that even more you try and try, and then you think that the person that you love is so distant, it's so hard to love this person. And that's the one thing that happens. And if you understand the Dharma into the practice, and you change yourself, you transform yourself. And at this time, you're not looking at other people, whether they are like this or like that. So then their situation had nothing to do with you. And so the most important thing for you is that this body, this that is full of sweetness, but only on the path of practice. If you don't have time to observe other people, whether they're kind or unkind, what is time do you have to judge the person practice or not? Whether they practice or not is your own. So therefore, it's like you can use that as your own teacher. So then you don't have extra time to all these, to put your energy into these petty things, whether what they say, whether they're beautiful or ugly, or practicing well or not practicing well, that has no relation to you whatsoever. Their mind becomes very wholesome and be free and light. And even right here and right now, you apply this into this day, into your everyday life. And even if you don't want to change, you end up changing. If you don't want to your unwholesome karma to disappear, it will disappear. If you if you don't want to be a holy person, it'll automatically be. And you can see that everything that you do, whether or not you're sitting, standing, walking, laughing, speaking, all of the things that you've done because you've done it out of despair, because of money, but now it's not like that. Because everything that you do is in order to apply the Dharma into your everyday life, so that you can nurture your mindfulness in your in your life. In the past, you drive to go to work, and then you come down here, but then now that you can just sit in the car, and it's when you enjoy the sitting, when you observe your mind, when you make the energy of mindfulness full in your on yourself, then even though if it's driving is far, but you don't see it as far in the past. Like I've heard that thing, we like hope that they can leave. There's too many people to sit for a long time, but now I don't have that. I don't have that. Sometimes I sit and I listen to people, but because when I am also observing myself, with any emotion that arises in my mind, and I can see, observe the things that are like I'm just dwelling in the Dharma of my mind, and I don't need to have boredom or happiness or sadness. So just all of these mental formation arise. So then for full, save your time. You know somebody, the Dharma, who knows the practice, they use the full time in their own whole life. When they're able to understand the Dharma, they can see that from that point on, it is their time of practice. So it is not a time to go to the meditation hall, or the time to go to the retreat, or the time for chanting. That is the practice time. No, it's not. Every moment is your time of practice. And so therefore, dear community, the fourth thing that is most important is that when you're able to observe the Dharma in your everyday life from right now until later, then you don't fall into the situation of difficulties of unease, despair, sorrow. And I repeat this again. Do not believe that when you practice that you don't have misfortunes, you don't have this sadness that happens in your mind. But the difference as a practitioner and those who don't practice is that in the past, when you're sad, you're angry, and you're uneasy, then you become those emotions. But as a practitioner now, each and everything that arises inside it, you are just observing that is happening and recognizing that it comes and it goes. You smile, you recognize that it is there. And to say it in a different way is that you become the observer of these emotions. It's that you're aware of things that come and goes, and you're happy. You're not upset because of it. You're just simply watching it as it passes by. You don't have to hate it, push it away, or take it in as your own type. If you understand this practice, you'll be more graceful, more gentle, more harmonious when you just watch it come and go, and it will disappear into nothingness. With a person who knows how to practice and who has the Dharma, the practice in their everyday life, they can do whatever. They just sit and observe. And everything is just a game. It's just a game. You can see this is just a game. You can say whatever. It's just a game for them. They just observe their own mind, so nobody can disturb them. Nobody can be. They respect. It is also a joy. If they disrespect, it's just a game. So it has nothing to do. Anything that can happen all around you, but it does not touch into you. It doesn't make you move. Just that what it is, the most kindest thing is an observation as a Buddhist practitioner. It's like a great vehicle. There is like a lotus leaf. There's no water that can make the lotus leaf. No matter what you do, that you can make the lotus leaf become wet. So that even if their state of mind, that they can heal it according with the Dharma of the Buddha. And so we live in harmony and peaceful and gracefully and gently. And so therefore, that I would like to tell the community now is to receiving an inheritance, or the most nearest inheritance that you have received from your father and your mother, that has given you this body a little bit deeper than this body. It's like in the past you have created karma, and so then you have received the whole inheritance of despair and happiness and all of that in the past. But as a practitioner, those who know the practice and learn the Buddha's teaching, what they receive, the teachings and the inheritance of the Buddha, and then in this physical, not just this physical body, other than culture as a Vietnamese person, but we can sort out to apply the most beautiful things that we have received in this everyday life. Then the thing that is great is that it gets given, it gives a gift, so that when you are able to receive the teachings of the Buddha in your own state of mind and apply it into your everyday life, and so you bring the quality of your life much higher, and you make your life even more beautiful in the here and in the now. And then you make your life, even if in whatever environment it may be in, we are unfortunate or unhappy, whatever, there's one thing that you're able to receive the teaching, the inheritance of the Buddha, then you are able to wash away all of those impurities or unhappiness and misfortunes of your own life and of others and of the environment around you, so that you become a person of pureness, of brightness, that have freedom to stand on your own two feet and to become a most precious, most beautiful person in this very lifetime, and you can bring happiness into the future, and happiness to the people all around you. And this is the most important thing, that we go into this retreat. This is to try to receive this kind of inheritance. I would like to end here. Thank you, dear Sangha.